Think about the last time you got a panic call from a person who wasn't even a client and they needed a rush job on having their financials cleaned up. So this is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution. Because you're client-centered, you want to be helpful, you can see that they really need this. You give them a quote after quickly reviewing their books for maybe $3,000. It seems straightforward what you saw, and you think that this is just going to be a very standard job, nothing that's going to throw things off. But 3 weeks later, you find yourself buried in hours. There's thousands of uncategorized transactions, and you find that you barely even scratch the surface. You are just frustrated with the way that things are going. And I just want to say, rushing to quote that project too quickly is going to be costly for you. So what you want to do is think about having a pre-qualification process, something where you're slowing things down so that you're able to really look at what's going on, the needs, if this is someone you want to work with. And doing this removes the frustrations and it makes the project a lot more profitable. So think about this. When you quickly quote that project, you find that you're setting yourself up for the scope expanding and it's taking longer than expected. How often does that happen to you? So I want to give you an idea of how this looks in real life. Like I said, you looked at that project, you quoted $3,000. It was for 12 months worth of cleanup. And once you dug in, you found that it was so much more neglected than you ever expected based on the conversation that you had with this business owner. And there were business as well as personal finances commingled, missing documents. It was really a mess. So that $3,000 project now has become a $6,000 job. That means that you are working for half of what you expected because it's going to take a lot more hours. And if your hourly rate is $150 an hour and you thought it was going to be just 20 hours, but it turned into maybe 45 hours worth of work, well, your $150 an hour was just cut maybe to $67 an hour instead. It's definitely not what you need. And it means that you're financing their work with you because now you're probably having a very low profit margin, or maybe you didn't make any profit whatsoever. So I just want to say the rush to give a price too soon is something that is not in your best interest, and it's not in the client's best interest either. It is costing you thousands per project. So you might be thinking, if I don't quote too quickly, then they might go elsewhere. But I'm going to let you know that is not true. Think about if you were able to take the time to properly assess the situation, really do it, not during that quick initial consult, then you start by leading with your expertise and you position your services as an investment because you are having the solution that leads them having long-term business health. And that's a very different way of positioning your services than by just focusing on the task that you're doing to get their financials clean, accurate, and up to date. So instead of saying something like, well, the project is going to be about $3,000, what you could say is this cleanup project is about giving you solid financials, accurate, up-to-date insights, and as a result, it will help you grow your business. The first step that we start with is a paid diagnostic review. This allows me to do a deep dive and really look at your financials, assess what's going on, what it is that you need, and then I can give you a fixed price for the project. So that is the words that you want to use instead. And this is exactly what Tori, who is a CPA, she's a client of mine, she owns a tax firm, this is what she actually experienced. When she first started working with me, she was very overwhelmed because she knew that her pricing structure didn't reflect the value that she gave to her clients. It was out of alignment. and it needed to be fixed because what she was doing wasn't sustainable. So we knew that she was doing a lot for her clients, but she wasn't properly compensated for all those little extras that she did for them. She was just leaving so much money on the table, but she didn't know how to fix it on her own. So what we did is we started out by implementing a paid diagnostic review. That was the first step when somebody came to her and wanted her to do work for them. And as a result of that, it was able to, it allowed Tori to set some clear expectations. She was able to now accurately assess each person's needs. And as a result of that, she could charge accordingly. She knew exactly what she was getting into, and she can plan for it accordingly, knowing it wasn't going to be expanding into something double what she thought it was going to be. And by adding in the paid diagnostic, what happened is she stopped underpricing her services. And this is true for you also. You can do this as well. But it also allowed her to gain confidence in the value that she brought to her clients because she was able to lead with that first. So as a result, it not just increased her revenue, but it also created transparency. Her clients had clarity about what to expect. And also they saw her now more as that consultant or advisor as opposed to being a tax preparer. So this is something to think about how you would start to implement this. In order to have someone come to you, they need to have a cleanup project done right off the bat. Then what you want to think about is that initial consult sets the stage and it leads into a paid diagnostic review. You're slowing down your onboarding process. As a result of that, because you slowed things down, you're able to now get paid to fully assess the project, something you were giving away for free before. It allows you to now see those hidden complexities that usually turn out to be a surprise. You can now find them and know exactly what you're walking into. No more minefields. And as a result of that, you can price accordingly. How would that make a difference for you and your firm? And some of the questions you would want to ask when someone's first meeting with you and you're looking to move them into that paid diagnostic is, what are the primary challenges that you're facing in your financials and your business right now? How would having accurate financials make a difference for you? And if you were able to have all the insights you need, how would that help with your decision making? So those are some questions you want to focus on so that they see the value of having this project done. And it's not just because they need this done for something, but it's a way of being able to let them see the big picture of how this fits into everything else that they're doing. So once again, do not rush to give that quote. You don't have to do that. You want to offer the paid diagnostic as a way to be able to do a deep dive into their books. As a result of that, you're able to quote accurately. You don't have to do an hourly rate anymore where you're working too many hours more than you expected and you're writing things off before you even give them the invoice because you don't think that they'll pay for that. You can now avoid those surprises and give a fixed fee. It is a win-win for everybody because it creates transparency. So I want you to think about the fact that this is a pre-qualification process before somebody becomes a client, and that there's ROI to it. There's benefits to that, and it benefits both you as well as your client. So think about the time-saving benefit. Instead of having scope creep, you're able to now go ahead and calendar your projects. You know exactly how long they ought to take, and you finish on time. This means what you thought would be 20 hours is turning into 45 hours is not going to happen any longer because you did a thorough assessment first. So there's some time savings. The other thing is that it now creates pricing accuracy. With a well-scoped project, you can quote higher because you're confident in exactly what's involved. You're not missing some little details that expand the scope later on. So instead of charging $3,000 for something that you thought would be 20 hours, you're now able to charge higher. Maybe you charge $4,500, you charge $6,000 because you know exactly what's involved. Once again, it creates transparency, and also it gives your clients the confidence that you're not going to be coming and increasing the fee later on down the road. You have everything up front because you took the time to thoroughly assess it first before you were able to do anything else. You're able to outline everything. So once again, it eliminates all those surprises and the frustration for you as well as your clients. Everybody's on the same page. The other thing is about client quality. By taking the time to actually pre-qualify someone before moving forward into the paid diagnostic, you end up working with a better quality client. They understand the value of what you're offering, and because of that, they end up paying on time. You can actually get prepaid for this work. They respect your expertise because they see how the diagnostic and doing the cleanup project leads into them having really up-to-date, accurate financials and how that affects their business decisions. As a result, they do not challenge your fees. Trust me on that one. And the last thing is that it's like compounding interest. There's a compounding effect. That means that if you do, let's say, 4 cleanup projects a quarter, by being able to qualify a client properly before you engage them, you avoid having those disasters because the expanded scope creep, and you are able to accurately price the projects. As a result of that, maybe you bring in an additional $10,000 to $15,000 per quarter because you slow down your onboarding process. You're no longer giving away work without compensation or lowering what you would have charged for, which means that the work is going to be lower profit. So the paid diagnostic does all of that for you. One little additional step, slowing it down, solves a lot of headaches down the road. And here's how you start to implement this. And making that shift is so much easier than you think it is. It's something I do with firm owners on a regular basis, and it is something that solves so many headaches. So if you have a client, the next time they come to you, this potential client, they need a cleanup project. So once again, you want to understand why the cleanup is necessary for their business, not just what needs fixing, but why there's urgency right now. And I gave you some of the questions before to ask into your initial consult so you can understand why this is a priority and the urgency right now. The other thing is that by moving them into the paid diagnostic, it sets some boundaries. So if they're saying, well, can you just get started quickly? I need this done next week. You can let them know that this is your policy. All projects require a paid diagnostic first, so I can really assess what's required and give you a fixed fee. That is how to set a boundary. And by setting boundaries now, they know that you actually have boundaries moving forward. Then you're not going to have a client that expects you to be available 24/7, even Sunday night at 8:15 to drop everything and respond to one of their texts. So I just want to let you know, by doing this, you're ensuring that the client is pre-qualified every single time and that they're respecting boundaries. The other thing is that if you want and you like tracking time, you can go ahead and track your hours and the price that you quoted. Because this, you'll quickly see very, very easily how this is making a difference for the projects moving forward. No more working too many hours for too little money. We got that off the table. And there might be times when someone says, how come you do this? Why can't you just give me a quick quote? So you're getting an objection. And once again, this is like being a broken record. You want to tell them, I want to be able to give you a fixed price. And we need to start with that diagnostic review to assess the details and the scope first. Would you like to move forward? So once again, you've already established that this is your process. You want to now reaffirm it when it comes up and they're asking, can't you just get started? You want to let them know that in order to give you a fixed price, to understand what your needs are, we start with the diagnostic review to really understand what it is you need and give you a fixed price at that point. Would you like to move forward? So If you're ready to start positioning your services so that you're seen as that expert, it's more effective. You stop undercharging for your cleanup projects because they go way longer than expected. Then let's talk. Go to businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk to get that started. And we can implement this in order to be able to increase the profit margins, reduce the stress and the headaches, and have better quality clients. So if that's something you want to do so that you can turn those cleanups into high value opportunities, then let's go ahead and have a conversation. Anyway, I want to say your cleanup projects are not an isolated project, not just a one-time fix. They are the foundational piece for your clients having really strong, healthy financials, accurate, up-to-date insights. So stop rushing that process. It's not benefiting you and it's not benefiting your clients. It's the wrong way to kickstart a long-term relationship. And we want to start positioning the paid diagnostic, having accurate, up-to-date financials as, once again, the key foundational part for that client having strong, solid, healthy financials. As a result, you get paid for the value you provide right from the get-go. They see you as that expert with the solutions, as opposed to the technician that's just doing data entry. Anyway, let me know how this resonated with you. Pass it forward to someone that you know might need to hear this as well for their firm. I would love to hear what came up for you, what validated, or where you need some additional insights. This is Warren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, showing firm owners how to be able to double their income working half the time.